Why do you feel stuck even when you know so much? It's not your stuck, it's your state. For builders who nailed the tech and now face the rest, this is UNCODED, translating tech into profit. Hi everyone and welcome to UNCODED. Today we have Anthony Franco, which is our guest. Anthony is seasoned, as they say, seasoned. I don't like this word, seasoned, but a seasoned management technologist. And today we are here to talk about AI. Most specifically, we want to talk about how to operationalize AI into a company. Because, you know, today, everywhere we look around, there are some discussion about AI technology and what they are capable of doing, how good they are, how do they compare between each other, what is best for doing this, what is best for doing that. But really, no one discuss how to transform a company with AI, which is sooner or later what everybody will have to do. So Anthony have been doing some study on this, and he has some very nice idea, and I was attracted by some of his writing. So I invited him to join just because I wanted to discuss about it with him. Anthony, tell us, what are you doing and why you are attracted by this topic? What have you been discovering and so on?
Yeah, so I first of all, thank you so much for having me on the podcast to chat about this. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've started and sold companies. Some of them have been in tech, some of them have been manufacturing, and recently a very good friend of mine, somebody I've known for decades, started chatting with me about his AI company. He runs an AI orchestration automation platform. He built it from the ground up. It's actually the leading enterprise platform on the planet. It's called OneReach. And he asked me to help him figure out some go-to-market strategies. I kind of went native into the organization, looking at how they delivered in AI. And it was quite unique. So they built a platform and wound up being pulled in to do services around helping companies transform so that they can leverage AI. And Rob said, I don't want to do the services. I want to build the platform, and I want to enable the world to do the services. And assuming that when they do that they're going to use our platform, right? The rising tide lifts all boats mindset. So I convinced him to let me take everything that I found on how they deliver and open source it. And we came up with two essential tenets. One is called AI First Principles, which is essentially the philosophy around building and operationalizing AI. And then the next is the method. How do you go about applying AI First Principles, and that's called the Wiser method. So that's what I've been working on. What I think might be interesting to chat about with you is the one thing that I kept hearing quite often is, when somebody says they're in AI, what does that mean? Does it mean you're working at NVIDIA? Are you working in machine learning? Are you working on LLMs for OpenAI? Or are you just happen to be in ChatGPT 3 times a day? Like, all of those mean you work in AI. Yeah, so that doesn't help an organization when they're trying to operationalize AI. So we're trying to build this mindset, this practice of what an AI ops person looks like, and give them the tools and the rationale and the mindset to be able to do that within organizations that are not necessarily AI organizations that want to incorporate it.
Yeah, I understand. I am intrigued with AI first, the AI first principle. It is something that that can be applied in any kind of company, in any kind of setting, in any kind of industry, for example? What is the core of the principle? What is all about? If I understand well, you kind of, every time I've been discussing about implementing AI into a company, it was basically about automation. So the idea is, okay, let's see which processes you have in your company, and that in my country is already a problem because a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't have a process view of their company, which is a big problem. But with them, with the one that have a process view, you start to map process, which is kind of old activity in consulting, at least. And then you start to automate some part of these processes to gain some kind of KPI, to do faster eventually some things, or do easier some other things. I tried to do it with a company of mine, with one of my customers, and this guy were basically they asked me to create bot that were connecting different part of the process that were not streamlined, and they were not they were not supported by a software, which is a very stupid thing to do. And in fact, we didn't do it at the end. So I think that I was very attracted by your writing, because it seems that you are, revolutionize this idea, saying, well, instead of putting something on the organization that you are today, you should become something that can implement AI better than what you are today. If I was understanding correctly.
Yeah, so it's a really lightweight principle. So if you just anybody can go to AIfirstprinciples.org. It's an open source mindset shift on how to think about artificial intelligence. There's two. I would say there's one core principle that matters the most, and then there's also the rationale behind all of it. The rationale, the fundamental problem when organizations try to operationalize AI is they do exactly what you said. They try to automate bad process. So before you automate, you need to rethink how your company's delivering, which is now you're getting into like business consulting, right? You need to really just rethink through an AI lens. So think the mindset is think AI first, but automate last. And go through how your company delivers and ask yourself, how should we deliver this? Not how are we deliver it, but how should we deliver it? And then the fundamental, I call it the prime directive of AI first principles, but the fundamental tenet, let me take a step back. Elon Musk talks about the age of abundance. We hear often people say AI is going to take your job. AI is going to replace people. None of that is true. I agree. And here's the reason. The reason is you are the CEO of a company and you start implementing AI and something goes terribly wrong, which it will. Just like it does if people are involved, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the problem is with AI is you're not going to accept your customers, your investors, your shareholders, your employees. Nobody's going to accept, well, it's the AI's fault. Yeah. Because CEOs will want somebody responsible. They'll want the throat to choke. They'll want to be able to say, go fix, who do you tell to go fix something if it was AI's fault? So now we're talking about who is responsible for what? When is a human being responsible for it, and when is technology responsible for it? So fundamentally, a person is responsible for defining objectives. That's the primary responsibility. If something goes wrong, it's because the objectives we gave the AI were not complete. We're not specific enough. We had the wrong motivations or the wrong incentives placed into the AI. So human beings will now be responsible for the creativity of defining the objectives and holding the AI responsible, double checking it, making sure that what the AI is doing what it's supposed to do. Does that mean that some jobs are going to be eliminated by AI? Yes, but more engaging, creative jobs are going to be created because you're going to need to be able to hold the AI accountable. I'll stop there and get your thoughts on that.
No, it's exactly what I think, actually. And this is why I was attracted by what you are writing. So you kind of imply, I had very incredible discussion about that. So I'm curious to see what you think. You kind of imply that AI is not capable of creative things, if I'm wrong. I don't know.
Well, so AI currently, Apple just released a huge white paper on this. AI is not capable of reasoning. Now there's a lot of us in AI that read that white paper and said, I hope you didn't spend a lot of money on that because no duh, right? Like no kidding. AI is great at pattern recognition. It's not great at reasoning. Now, could it be there? Could it get there? Eventually, yes. But it's not there, and I don't think it's going to be there for quite a while. Even if it is good at reasoning, you still need somebody responsible, and you still need somebody to define the objectives. So that is going to require a human in the loop, a human being defining what the AI does. And the more creative a problem solver that human being is, the better they're going to be at that job.
On the other side, I agree with you. I shut up because I fully agree with you, so I don't have anything to say. I will play the provocateur, as they say.
Excellent. Yeah, challenge me. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I will challenge you, but I will not be so nasty because I am so in agree with you that it will be difficult for me. So you are saying that we need the human in the loop because human are able to create, and so they are able to give task or give objective to the AI, and they will check if AI is doing it. On the other side, our company and the book we were mentioning before of starting to record is full of these ideas. Humanocracy by Gary Hamel. Most of the company are not creative at all, and they don't reward creativity. So we have a situation where we are embracing AI, and I fully agree with you. But as companies, we are embracing AI with a task-oriented mindset, with an automated task-oriented mindset, which will give to this company, for this company, it will be impossible to embrace AI as you are looking at it.
I fully agree with the critique. First of all, yes, you're correct. However, analogies really break down when it comes to talking about how corporations or organizations run. My best shot at this is talking about an organization like a garden, right? They're left alone, things will still grow, but not everything that grows is good. Yeah. And so you as the leader of an organization or a department, you are now a gardener, and AI is one of the tools that you use that allow that your job is to make sure you're properly pruning the garden and properly caring for the garden. And I know this analogy requires a stretch of the imagination, but it really is like your organization will eventually could kill itself, right? Like a garden could be taken over by weeds, and a garden can become very not beautiful and not well organized, not well maintained. So you're right. Creativity is not necessarily valued within organizations, but I would challenge that there. Would you call a gardener creative? In a stretch, right? So you can think about a leader being creative in how they apply the principles within the organization and what they allow to grow and what they decide to cut. What is their end goal? Those are all creative decisions. Whether or not you want people to be creative, people are by their nature creative. So now you as a leader are responsible for how you direct their creativity. Anyway, it's a tough question. It's a tough question. It's a tough question to tackle, but I hope I'm doing a fairly decent job at wrapping our heads around that.
I will not say it enough. I completely agree with you.
Okay.
Completely, fully. But while you were discussing, I remembered of one of my customers in US. He was an Italian CEO. A CEO of Italian origin, let's say. It was a very, very tough man. Very, very tough.
I don't think so. I've come across CEOs just like that in the U.S. as well. Like I don't think it's an Italian thing. I think it's
actually, I have when I will finish this thing, I will tell you what I think about the Italians abroad and so on. During a meeting, he told me, "We don't pay you to think."
Okay. Much better to pay me to not to think. I'll take that job. Love that job. When you mess up, you can say, "But you don't pay me to think."
It was really awful because I was doing, I've been working with an innovation company, with an innovation consulting company, which had an assessment tool based on interview, which you run with all the mid and top management, and then this tool was drafting a kind of assessment of how innovation was managed in that company. And we have been doing this with many companies and also in many countries. And that time, it was my first customer in US, and it was Italian from a cultural point of view. So I realized that, as an Italian, understanding his culture, he was trying to cut everything below him to convince the company to go in his direction, but he was not doing fairly. So I was a little bit against it, and I was kind of challenging him. So this is why I reacted on that. My position on Italian abroad, by the way. You see, I am, and you are also Italian.
Yes.
In terms of origin, right?
Just like everybody in the U.S., I'm a part Italian, more than half, but yes.
I think that my culture is a very good culture, but is also, when you live in Italy, it's also prone to create certain type of deviation. Because we are not trustworthy, we kind of finding escape. We don't reward merit in my country. The reason why we have mafia and Camorra and all these organizations is back because participation in the group is more important than what you are able to do. But the Italian that I have been meeting abroad, mostly in US, I've been living in US for quite some time, and I was with Italians moving there, are incredible people because they have the fantasy and the human resources of our culture, which is which is a very old culture. So we are full of how can I say? We are full of stories, and we are full of family things that layer in our experience and then provide us for a view of the world which is very, very nice. On the other side, the discipline that you have in other countries, like for example in US, make us what we are not in Italy. It's a little bit strange kind of view, but I found it very, very, and for example, in US, I've been studying in US in the University of Minnesota, and I was in a department where the only guy that was against me was an Italian. All the other were friends. I still talk with them after 20 years. After 20 years. But he was coming from Italy. He was my competitor because we were competing for a space in this business school. And so we were continuously beating each other. Sorry about that.
I'm probably harder on my siblings than I am on my friends, so it's probably the same thing.
Yeah, kind of. Normally, it is like that. The competition is inside families and inside group. It's not outside. Outside, you are friendly, you are empathic, you talk with anybody, and so on. But when you live in another country, you assume behavior that are not the negative one that you assume here. This is what I think, but it's also not very important. Let's get back to AI. So creativity, AI. What is creativity? What is gardening? Well, gardening is not creativity, actually. Yes, I agree.
It requires creative thinking. It requires vision. Yeah. But most people wouldn't define gardening as a creative outlet.
No, absolutely. Yes. But this idea, this bottom-up kind of, nurturing activity that you should do in a company because you should, grow people into being something better for the company itself. It's a very nice and it's a very, I wouldn't say romantic because romantic would be taken negatively, but it's a very nice thing. On the other side, I am afraid that some people think about, because obviously we can discuss hours about what is creativity, because creativity is not finding something new. For example, copy something that is already existing, and AI is very good in doing that.
I think Steve Jobs said it. Good designers design, great designers steal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, creativity is not always what we think. The spark, no. When we think about creativity, we think of the spark that come while we are showering or while we are walking in the street, and so on. While in a company is much growing, gardening a company is much more difficult than leveraging creativity. There is another factor in this. Another factor is that in nowadays organization there is always a group of leaders that are playing politics and are at the center of the power, and they manage the company for their own benefit, first of all. And on the other side, there are a group of people which are mad in the sense that don't comply with the company mindset, with the previous mindset, which are normally the most creative one and the people that see things before of the others. So gardening is not only, creativity, it's also inclusion. Because someone that garden a company should embrace all the different contribution and be able to grow them and to direct them for the good of the company, not for the good of someone, only someone.
Yeah, so there's a lot in what you just said. One of the benefits that AI has is it doesn't play politics unless you set it as an objective, right? Again, if you define an objective, a political objective, it will help you. But it's really designed not to be biased on that. It has no. It's not selfish in that way, which is really a unique attribute of AI.
Yeah.
The other thing that you mentioned about creativity in the mindset, which involves the mindset shift that we're going to need to have as this technology is rapidly evolving. Sam Altman actually just came out with something. It was kind of buried in one of his writings, but it was in a sentence, and he said, "I think the power." So the idea guy, the people that we used to make fun of, right, as entrepreneurs, the idea guy, the dreamer that never really executed on anything, but had great ideas, now might have the power shifted towards him or her, because they are able to craft the idea. They have that spark. And it's rare to find an idea person and somebody that can execute.
Yeah, absolutely.
But and idea people are still hard to find, but they struggle with they stereotypically struggle with execution. Well, now they have an execution partner.
Yeah.
And so in your organization, those creative people might be enabling those creative people might give you a competitive advantage that if you were able to foster them with executional support, they might be your most, well, I believe in what Sam Altman says, they will be your most valuable asset in the future. The ones that can properly articulate their idea into executable steps to either a team or to an AI, and they're going to be very, very powerful.
And there is another advantage of this, actually. Idea people, in innovation has always been viewed as, for someone, creativity, so idea people, which were considered most important at the beginning. I've been doing a work on 2000, an innovation study, where I was observing with some colleague what was a new way of innovating, starting from ideas. But then the execution came after the idea, because the discussion was, if you have idea but you are not able to execute on that, it's a problem. Now, the problem with innovation is that is also a very complex process and is a very long process. So you cannot afford to go into one direction and then realize that the direction was wrong, because true innovation could be wrong, because it's very radical, should be very radical, and so could be very wrong. With AI, we could also manage to have an execution which is faster. Actually, Osterwalder, which is a Switzerland guy which wrote the first book on business model innovation. Osterwalder was writing in a LinkedIn newsletter just a few months ago, one month ago, about this synthetic marketing companies, meaning companies that are able to create a persona, a buyer persona, not by focus group, marketing study, and so on, but simply using AI. But this is for me is less important. What is important is that you can do it faster, and you can try it. You can try it several times, so that your entire innovation process is parallel, is not sequential, and is also very effective because reach effectiveness much faster than it was before.
Yeah, I think there's some very interesting conundrums created by AI and marketing. You're right. For the next couple of years, AI will be a supreme differentiator for marketers. But eventually, everybody will be able to do AI iteration at scale, meaning there will be a ton of AI-generated noise in marketing.
Absolutely. It's already now.
It is already now, but it's just gonna get exponentially worse. And so, getting back to the defining of jobs between AI and humanity, that human connection, getting small, building relationships, that human connection is going to matter so much more for effectiveness in marketing than it ever has, because creative content is now easy.
Absolutely.
It's exceptional. Like Claude is exceptional at writing marketing copy. Yeah. But authentic human mistakes and the errors that come out of the creative process, that is what's going to matter more than clever copy and well-written ideas. It's going to require that a human touch, and that will always change. And I don't know if AI will be good at predicting that. I could be wrong, but I don't think AI will be good at predicting that.
While you were talking, I recalled one of my innovation projects, with a very big European semiconductor corporation that tried the project, an idea generation project. They sit all their engineer in a very big conference room. They group them in similar topic, and they start to create idea. And this process lasted and I was a facilitator there, so I was a consultant facilitating the table. It lasted 6 months. It was an incredible project because it was really a very nice one. And I remember one table where there was a very bright engineer that was inventing a stick which was able to move with several commands on the stick, and the movement were tracked by an app on a telephone. I'm talking about 2006, so it was technologically kind of impressive. But they were not able to find a business for it, an application. And they start to struggle, and they were struggling. And every meeting they were discussing about what is the market, what is the buying persona, what is the buying persona. And this lasts for 2 months, and at the end of the 2 months, someone would have stopped them because they were not going anywhere. One day, one of these guys in the table invited one of the colleagues from the Beijing plant. This guy sat in the table. They start to say again, they start to simulate the stick, the app, and so on. And this guy raised his hand and said, sorry, what are you doing? We are trying to find an application for this technology. Okay. Do you know about Paddington? We were in Switzerland, and this guy was living in Beijing. No, we know Paddington is this game which is kind of like tennis with a small racket. Yeah, Paddington is one of the first sports played in Far East. You know how many Paddington players there are in China? No, how many? 600 million. So I think that this could be a budding game simulator. And just like with the perspective of this guy, they found a buying persona on the other side of the globe. So kind of while you were discussing, I was thinking about an AI able to create an ad hoc context for any kind of idea generation exercise. Because probably AI would know about Paddington in China. So it's with AI, the idea generation process could be much more effective and much more faster than normal.
It's a great story. No, I think AI would do a good job at that. When you say, when you say I have this technology, find me, the joke, the stereotypical joke on this is you're a hammer looking for a nail, which never works. But AI may be able to make that work, right? AI might be able to say, you should use this hammer on this kind of nail, and at least let you iterate through ideas a lot faster and make you think in areas that you may not be. I know it does that for me all the time, where I'm trying to give me 20 concepts that solve that I can use this technology for. AI will at the very least give me 10 that I haven't thought of, and go and take me down good and bad rabbit holes.
I am very grateful for you. We kind of finished our time, but I am very grateful because finally I was able to talk with someone about the AI which was not talking about automation, actually, which is a little bit sad because they talk about something which is not AI. So thank you very much for your contribution. It was
it's a fun conversation.
Nice.
Thank you for having me.
Very, very, very nice. And, I also like very much this idea that, AI can be effective only if we have humans that, use that and steer that in the right direction. So, thank you. Thank you, Anthony. And we will. I hope to see each other next time and to discuss about something else. Okay?
Yeah, I'd love to be back on. Thank you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to this episode. Follow the show so you don't miss any episode. And remember, for those looking for the secret sauce, there is none in the soup.